Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a month that you will remember for many years because you're coming into contact with some significant changes that are likely to occur as a result of April to do with your home and homeland matters and where you live, even possibly for some of you coming into some financial wealth based on family of origin monies. As well, you could find this as a very important time for you in your way you make money. Big changes there with a very rare, not seen since 1994 and 1996 event. And the big change in the homeland thing, hey guys, that goes all the way back to 1941. So what I'm trying to get across here is how this is an incredibly powerful time. Finally, there's an eclipse happening in your third house. It's a total solar eclipse, and we can't ignore that as well. So let's get started, shall we? If by any chance you are new to my channel and you're here for the first time, I want to give you a warm welcome and say check it out by liking and subscribing and hitting the notification bell, because my name is Lori Lothian. I'm using fixed stars, minor asteroid, fixed stars, minor asteroids, and whole sign houses, as well as I'm a Western tropical zodiac astrologer. Sorry, it's been a long day. And I also would encourage you to consider learning astrology with me. It'll be my 5th time teaching this class, and it is called Sky Reader, and it's the tagline, Be Your Own Astrologer, Time Your Best Life. I'm teaching that class mid-April. It lasts 6 weeks, live classes, Q&A. You keep the content forever at my teaching site, weekly Q&As, and a Facebook group as well, where we check your homework. My assistant and I are we interact with you. So if you like that kind of stuff and you're into learning astrology, to know the basics and use some easy prediction tools, the doors will open about April 1st. Please get on the wait list for that notification by clicking the link in the description box that says, it's my wait list link. Okay. Now let's get rolling. Oh, I'm an Aquarius like you. I'm an Aquarius rising. When you're listening for your rising sign, it's about the character you play in the matrix. So it's about everything about your life, really. When it's about your son, it can be about your career and purpose. Certainly it's about father figures. And when you're talking about your moon, your body, your home, things to do with your mind, even how you think about your life. And it's more like the mind body energy, all right, of the chart. But certainly moon can mean mom as well. So keep all of this in mind, because what I'm trying to share with you is that your rising sign is categorically you. Right. And the rest of it is kind of the icing on the cake. But listen for all three. Why not? Because you'll learn more about reality that way. So one of the things I want to start with, and I sort of gave you enough teasers up front, I hope, is I may start with a place I haven't started. I may remind us Aquarians that Pluto has ingressed into Aquarius, where he will be for us through to 2044. And even though he slides out September, October, and November, we're really feeling him in direct motion at 2 degrees all the month of April. And I really want us to know that we're embodying a new sense of power that we've never been able to open to before, as a new essence of us. And Pluto gets involved in some tangles this month of April with the Sun and Venus. We'll get to that in detail. But let's talk about the broad brushstrokes first, and then we'll move into the chronology of the eclipse. We'll move to the chronology of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and we'll move into the chronology of Saturn conjunct Mars, where there's a big clash. We'll get into that in great detail in the chronological order. Let's start off with the broad brushstrokes of what's really changing this month, right? First of all, Mars isn't going anywhere. He's been sitting in since March 23rd, Pisces, and he continues there till the end of April, April 30th. And Pisces is your house of, whole sign house of, your earnings, your money, your resources, your possessions, and what you eat and digest and put through your mouth, whether it's an addictive substance or a healthy substance, it doesn't matter. Mars here is good for dental work and dentist appointments for the most part. Mars here is also really likely to draw your attention to food elimination. And Mars here is really good for being more passionately engaged in driving forward and making action and decisions around your money, not only your earnings, but 8th house stuff across the way, like taxes. So I'm incorporating during Mars's transit through my 2nd house. That makes sense, right? So Mars is moving through this part of our sky. The unique part of this is Saturn being here since last year, last March through to 2026, the month of February. And the last time we had this kind of Mars-Saturn connection was in March of 1994 and March of 1996. So it is back again. So you might compare things to do with earnings and dietary style and even taxes or chunky money or inheritances or shared money with a spouse being very active on your radar during those times, but in a bit of a tension with Saturn, which we will get to in the chronological part. That's just a backdrop. Now, Venus, the goddess of love and money herself, will move into your third house, and she's going to do that segue after being exalted in your earnings house for until April 5th and for a couple of weeks before that. So you may have seen an uptick as you approach April 5th throughout March in your earnings story, right? I'm trying to remember the date of Venus's ingress offhand in the month of March. It could have been around the 11th of March through to April the 5th. Venus is glowing you up in the financial earnings part of your story. I'll say I'm an Aquarius rising. My ad revenue is doing really well right now and my advertising on YouTube. So, hey, yeah, thank you, Venus, for the glow up. And my face feels really pretty lately. I don't know, just all the castor oil I'm slathering on it. And Venus increases your facial beauty. So I can feel good about that too. I'm just using me as an example. How are you Aquarius is feeling with Venus glowing up your teeth, your face, your facial beauty, your speech, your earnings, and it's ending on April the 5th. No, it's not a big deal that it's coming to a close, but on April 5th, she slides into Aries. And that's where she's a little bit in a tomboy Xena warrior princess mode. She's in a more masculine Martian sign, and she's going to be moving through your third house. Now, that's travel often, short distance. So some of you may be traveling April the 5th to the 29th on short distance travel. I mean, or to places that aren't like too exotic, too far off. She does rule your ninth house of foreign land. So likely some of you will do foreign land travel. I'll be off to Mexico, one of my favorite places in the world, during that transit. Also, when she's moving through your third house, April 5th to the 29th, you're going to enjoy socializing with the neighborhood, the neighbors, the local people you know, a lot more. You're going to have some more social life, April the 5th to the 29th. Here, she's really good if you're a writer or if you're working in the online social media world to give you a bit of a glow up and an advantage in those areas as well. And if you want to learn a course or teach a course at that time, she's also extremely helpful. And of course, I'll be teaching Sky Reader when she's in my third house of skills-based teaching. Some of you may be taking skills-based classes, and Venus says you will enjoy those classes. And it says, I will enjoy the teaching. That's examples. Now, sisters and brothers and nieces, nephews, aunts and uncles and cousins can be third house people. When Venus is here, you may have more flowing contact with those types of characters in your life, including your neighbors, April the 5th to the 29th. Mercury will also be in Aries. He is there since March the 10th. He already got there, and he'll be there to May the 15th. And I hear what you're saying. Like, why is he there for such a long time? It's because he's in an elemental fire year in which the signs of Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries, he spends up to 2 months there because of a retrogradation. And therefore, this becomes a very fire-dominant time in 2024 for the Mercury, the messenger of the gods. We last saw him here in this energy in 2017, spending much time, 6 months out of a year, in the fire sign. So you can go back to 2017 if you like and compare notes, because when he's moving through March 10th to May 15th, also all of April, your third house, he's going to prioritize all the third house meanings: skills-based learning and teaching, short distance travel, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces and nephews, neighbors, social media land, writing projects, etc. Interestingly, he will retrograde on April Fool's Day, and he will stay in retrogradation all the way through until the 25th of April. His retrograde is between the 16th and 27th degree. It starts at 27 degrees, goes backward to 16. If you are an Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising, with your sun, moon, or rising between 13 and 29 degrees, you're going to notice a real impact from this retrograde as it flows back to your sun, your moon, or your rising. If it's about travel, because Mercury is a protector of travelers, and this is a travel house, it indicates between April 1st and 25th, you'll travel to a place you've been before. I have been to Mexico many times, and so this makes a lot of sense for me. The other thing I'd say, he's going retrograde in a house of ideas, communication, and writing projects and teaching. So you might go back like me and teach something I've taught 5 times. It's Sky Reader. But what about you? Maybe you're going to go back and take a class you've taken before and deepen your knowledge. You're going to go back and finish up a writing project you started long ago. You're going to go back and tinker with a website or social media platform to revise things, to change your mind about them as well, and then to go forward in a new direction on the 25th of April. Those are generic themes, but I'll be doing a deep dive into this Mercury retrograde for all signs coming up pretty soon. So that's why you might want to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when I put any of my 20 videos out every month. There are 40 videos out every month, and I'm always in the live premiere with you guys. So I'm always chatting astrology while it's playing, and we're learning with each other and from each other in the chat. Now, those are the overviews. Let's move into the chronology of the month. On April the 3rd, Venus, still meandering through Pisces, will meet with Neptune. This is a deep spiritual vibe. But because it's your second house of what brings you pleasure in your eating habits or what foods you like to ingest, and Venus is going to collaborate with Neptune. There could be a dreamy social occasion on April 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. It brings you a great deal of essential pleasure and divine appreciation for food and wine, or, love and pleasure, etc. Well, I have my birthday, April 4th, so I'll tell you, I have a night out with my girlfriend and stuff on the 3rd, and my man, and then I got my big party with my family on the 4th. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. That's what the vibe is. But what are you going to be doing? Well, it's going to be bringing you great pleasure. That's for sure. Now, if you want anything to do with hair, face, teeth, jaw, cosmetics, all that, this kind of glamour vibe, it's good for a glamour shoot of your face. It's good for some like real glow up in your facial story. If you like to do that April the 3rd. I'm going to get a haircut in the window of this conjunction. So yeah, it'd probably be a dreamy haircut. Maybe I'll ask for a pink streak in my hair for fun. April the 6th to the 7th, Venus will sextile Pluto. Venus sextiling Pluto is a positive energy. It's certainly good for money and wealth matters and powerful love stories. But Venus is also moving through your 3rd house of all the things I've delineated. I'm not going to say it again. And Pluto is moving through the house of us Aquarians. So we're feeling powerful. Venus is going to look back over her shoulder, make a conversation happen. And what she might say to Pluto on the 6th and 7th of April when she's moving through Aries is something along the lines of, hey, let's find some powerful financial arrangement regarding online world or educational stories, or let's power up some kind of intensity around travel and travel opportunities. Or how can women in my online or virtual and real neighborhood be really supporting me at this time so that I have some experience of goodness, pleasure, and happiness in my 3rd house? And, females are Venusian. And I don't want to talk about what is a woman, and they're very supportive of you, particularly April 6th and 7th, as you gain more intrinsic power with the Pluto transit through your identity. April 9th and 10th is coming right after the eclipse on April 8th. Let's break it down, because April 9th and 10th is Mars hits a hard wall smash in your earnings house. But before that, on April the 8th, the total solar eclipse at 19 degrees of Aries in your 3rd house of education, travel, siblings, neighbors, neighborhoods is happening. Boom. Let's break it into pieces. The eclipse is not going to mean something happens on April the 8th. Very unlikely. What it is, it's a door or portal for change. You've been feeling the change portal up to 6 weeks or a month before. Then it's going to keep rolling forward for you into the year ahead. A totality makes it extra strong. It's the second of 3 eclipses here. One last April, one in March of 25, end of March of 2025. It's a midway eclipse. It's by far the most important because it's total, and the nodes are involved in the right places. So where are you trying to expand into something? Is it a writing project? I can tell you got 4 books on the go. I've got to get down with them. Is it something to do with travel? Is it something to do with sibling relationships, especially younger? Is it something to do with a class or learning you want to take? Boy, do I want to go back to school and do like a MFA in writing, screenplay writing or something. So a lot of us Aquarians are feeling a compulsion for new learning, like a real desire for new learning, pushing us forward, or travel, or breaking out of into a new level of expression in our communication, especially if it's online, because now our social media platforms really do connect to the virtual neighborhood of the 3rd house. It used to be journalism, magazines, blogs were there. Now it keeps ever expanding in how we communicate out into the world outside of the bounds of traditional media. Okay, so there's this expansion and a growth energy here. And, technically, like, a North Node transit last July through to January 25 expands our social media presence, or expands our footprint in the neighborhood, or expands our connection to our writing and communicating abilities. So understand that it's a broad story of a North Node transit. But you've been trying to heal something here. Apparently, we have been healing something that got wounded here since 2019 in the house of travel and the house of writing. I like to tell you I can relate. My example would be I couldn't travel because I didn't take a unsafe and ineffective medical treatment during the pandemic. And so I was forbidden from traveling in a plane and train in my country. Talk about a hardship there for almost a year. I can also tell you I have stopped writing anything meaningful ever since that chironic wound was activated, and I'm a writer by trade. I was a journalist. So asking asking yourself, where have you been wounded since 2019 in that third house and all of its meanings? It's about to turn around. We had a North Node conjunction on March the 5th and the 19th, mean and true, to the Chironic wound. Now we're having an eclipse on April the 8th, conjunct Chiron. So we're really blasting through this wound. We're getting rid of it. Okay. End of story. This year is the year to do it. And so what could come up for you on the eclipse aftermath? Let's say technically the 3 months that first follow an eclipse, there's often evidence of what it's going to be, what it's really about. You might find yourself really blasting through that third house wound and seeing signals that tell you where this change is coming. I hope for me, it's I get half a book written in the next year or a whole book written of all the books I want to write, especially deep code astrology. So let me know in the comments how you think that's playing out through your third house. Now, this eclipse is also connecting to, at the same time, more or less, Mars, the god of ambition, drive, and Saturn, the wall, or the boundary, are colliding in your second house of earnings and resources. Now, it can be a hard stop around getting rid of a food style or a substance abuse or something you're eating. It could be a hard stop, time to quit, right? Or an unequivocal moment of dentistry, right? A come to Jesus dentistry moment, because Saturn rules the teeth and he's in the house of the face and Mars is the dentist, really. And so what kind of OMG dental moment are you having? It could even be that around the 9th and 10th. I'm just not going to go to the dentist till Mars gets out of my second house, just so I don't have to deal with anything. But oh no, you may need to do an implant or you have a root canal, and I don't want one of those. Thank you. So get in touch with what it could be, but it's also your earnings and resources house, right? So could we, or you or I, be looking at some kind of boundary that must be crossed that we experienced in March of 94, March of 96, that's putting us against action, drive, passion, and momentum, and boundary wall and constriction, bang, boom, it's there, right? Gas and cliche of gas pedal, parking brake. And so we may feel the tension of that as frustration in our finances, or frustration in our earnings, or frustration in our money stories as Aquarians. And so look for that energy to, come up for us all. I'll be doing a whole video on it. Mercury goes into the heart of the sun on April 11th and 12th, depending on your place of living in this world. And this is at 22 degrees of Aries. Did I mention Aries is a busy part of our sky? Good news is it flows back in a sextile to our ascendant sun and moon. But nonetheless, Mercury is in the heart of the sun here in a way he hasn't done with as much power since April of 2017. And the energy is something like a divine download, or big news or messages coming through phone calls, emails, or text messages, even hearing a podcast. It feels like a divine download on the 11th and 12th of the month. Even an article you read randomly on YouTube or a magazine or something comes your way. So pay attention to the glorious synchronistic power of Mercury wedged between the Earth and the sun, in the heart of the sun, and harness it. There will be asteroids and stars involved that I'm going to do in a webinar that's free. Come and join me. I love teaching free classes. I usually fill up. There's only up to 500 people allowed in. And that's, if you want to get in, you want to sign up for that. They're usually full. But it's a teaching webinar, but it also has a guided meditation to help you harness the synchronicity. I usually teach it 2 days before the before the cazimi. So probably be teaching that. Well, I want to stay clear of April 9th and 10th, don't I? I haven't set the date yet as I record this, but I'll probably teach that somewhere closer to April 6th and 7th. And come aboard, learn, and explore astrology with me and others. How to sign up? It's in the description box below the video. Hit the more button. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is April the 18th to the 21st is a clusterfuck, excuse my language, but I'm an Aquarius with a Mars mouth. So let's talk. It's a lot at once. I'm calling this the vortex. This is literally the vortex. Let's break it down. The big part of the vortex is what's happening between the 15th of April and the 26th is coming to a epicenter of intensity, April 2021, when Jupiter and Uranus co-joined in the sign of Taurus. This has been the bull run for crypto, for example. And when they come together in this sign of Taurus, which rules currency, in our chart, this is the area that represents home, land, property, real estate, where we live, what we do in our private domestic life. This is our residence. This is our privacy. This is our quiet home life, domicile, but it's also property, land, legacy wealth, money from mom, dad, or other people, or from marriage partners, particularly from the past, but I won't explain why. And this energy shows up most technically as a new beginning. And so it's not, oh, look what happened on the 21st, nothing. Astrology is all wrong. People misunderstand synodic cycles. Oh, I got to teach this class one day. They're like reset buttons between the energy of Jupiter and the energy of Uranus that we last saw in Taurus in 1941. So you can compare notes to your life in 1941. What? You weren't alive? Nor was I. That's why we're all going to guess what this is going to feel like individually. All right. It got the US into a world war in 1941. What's it going to do for us individually? It is where we live. And there can be some radical changes over the 14 years that follow this cycle that bring massive shift in home, land, and property, including maybe which country you even live in. So get ready for that experience. That's pretty exciting, right? Mars did his heliacal rise in your 12th house in January, and quite a few Aquarians may find it's going to lead to, over the next 2 to 3 years, a change of homeland, not just home. Also, this energy could play out as in the shorter term, like April 15th to the 26th, of some unexpected and surprising news or developments that are prosperous and bounteous in regards to land and property and real estate, or landlords and rentals and property and real estate. All are very possible because this is going to happen with the Vestal flame in the house of rentals at the same time. The hearth and the home and the rentals and surprises, but also with Juno traveling through your 8th house of mortgages and a sudden opportunity to buy or sell a property. These are shorter term stories, April, May, but this is a longer 14-year cycle. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Now, where is it the cluster F that I mentioned? April the 18th to the 21st. Mars is sextiling Jupiter as he co-joins with Uranus. So that's not a bad thing. Mars is championing, cheering it on from your 2nd house of earnings, making this a positive financial story for every Aquarian. But at the same time, Venus and Mercury co-join in your 3rd house. News, information, phone calls, information about money, sisters, women, travel, coming through the sky all at once. Separate story, really, but it's in Mars's house, and Mars is flowing to Jupiter, so it's very embedded with everything meaning the same thing from different angles. Finally, the difficult energy in this time frame is when the sun moving through Taurus squares Pluto. Now, the sun is in the house of your home, property, and real estate, and Pluto is like power, metamorphosis, crisis, conflict, transformation. But you're holding that energy. It's us. We hold it. If it's a sun, it's about your career and purpose. It's the moon, it's about your home and nest. But if you're Aquarian, you're holding all the Pluto energy in your beingness. You're becoming Plutonian, deeply acquainted with authentic and profound power and transformation, willing to engage powerful death and rebirth energies in your being over the next 20 years. And you got the Pluto energy going. And then sun in the 4th house can be a solar figure squaring Pluto. Now, solar figures are father figures. Male figures for women can be, especially if you're married to someone who feels like a daddy figure to you. But honestly, it can be male. So male energy or solar energy or leader energy in the 4th house is coming into conflict. So a domestic environment with something that you're trying to power up into during the 18th to the 21st. And then Venus tries to mop up after the difficulty when on April 29th and 30th, she also enters into the Taurus realm. And she looks over her shoulder. That's your 4th house where your domestic private life is. And she talks to Pluto. Now, she's powerful and she's a benefic and she'll soothe Pluto, and you will find some resolution around the challenges. Although Venus-Pluto archetypes can be toxic, forbidden love, fatal attractions, it's not happening in your romance house. It's a money energy and it's a power energy regarding conflicts in the home or challenges in the home base. And Venus is smoothing it out on the 29th and the 30th. Sun rules your marriage house, current and former marriage partners, and tension or money stories playing out for some Aquarians, both on April 20th and 21st and the 29th and 30th. Okay, but I think it's going to be soothed and smooth by Venus at the end of the day. There is on the 23rd of the month, a full moon in Scorpio in your 10th house of career. What seeds did you plant in your career and reputation house back in the new moon in the fall around Halloween time that are blossoming into a full moon, a fruition and a completion? Some of you created some seeds that over the next 6 months will flow, especially true for Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising in the first 10 degrees of Aquarius, but all Aquarius is a fruitful fulfillment of things that were planted back in the fall. And hey, come on, with Mars moving through your earnings house, it suggests a financial glow up and fruiting for you regarding career matters. coming through the Mars transit through your second house on the full moon of April 23rd, and indicating a fulfillment of financial and career stories in the 6 months that follow in a positive way. And don't forget, by the 23rd, Mars has crashed through the hard barrier and boundary that Saturn put in place. And then finally, to end the month off, Mars himself, after having crashed through the wall with Saturn on the 10th, 9th, and 10th, and swimming forward, is bumping into Neptune, lap swimming or riding his jet boat through the Pisces waters of your earnings house. He crashes into the sea god and dispels any confusion, illusion, and delusion and fog you may have been experiencing about money and earnings and way to make your money and earnings work since 2011. But it was in 2013. 2015, 2019, every 2 years that Mars kept crashing into Neptune here. So he crashes yet again into Neptune. Might be his last Neptune crash, actually, because Neptune is moving out of Aries. And how can you see through the fog of confusion and some uncertainty or inertia on April the 28th to the 30th as Mars is clearing the decks for you? And it can be a real sense of certainty about something that was uncertain because you had some illusion about it or confusion about it. Now, Mars is going to break through that and help clear the fog, just like you cleared the fog on your car windshield. And then he's going to move into your third house. And boy, does that look like a lot of travel for 6 weeks. For a lot of you, April 30th adds 6 weeks travel away, but also something perhaps to do with a lot of ambition, passion, and drive around writing projects and social media stuff. But we'll be doing that in the video for the month of May. So if you're new and you don't know something about me, I am recording this, Aquarian fellow people. I'm recording this for you on the 21st of May. And the 21st of May is where my Patreon community gets this content early access and ad free. And if you want to do that for a mere $5 a month, come aboard. And you can get a Zoom call with me every month, like in a group with that tier. But also, every tier has greater advantages, up to 3 meetings a month. And if you want to try me out, go for it, because you'll get my free Asynastry relationship course, Are You My Person? And my free Chiron, The Key to Purpose. These are for sale on my teaching site, but you get them for nothing just to try me out. You can keep the courses because once I give them to you, you can't take them back. And you get to keep the courses even if you only stay for a month. So for a $5 try me out, you get 2 courses for free. If you like what you are seeing on my Patreon community, where you get more intimate contact with me, I read your comments, I interact with you, I give content you will never get here, then come join me on Patreon. The link to my Patreon community is in my description box. I'll hope to see some of you at the Mercury webinar, some of you in my Patreon community, and I hope to see some of you in my Sky Reader class. Thanks, Aquarius. Have a wonderful, life-changing, transformative April.